Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's video lecture, and we're covering the cardiovascular system of blood vessels and circulation. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. Okay, so I'm going to pick up my pen. Blood vessels are part of cardiovascular system. Another part of cardiovascular system is your heart and blood itself, right? So on this diagram, you can see the heart, right? And blood vessels that will carry blood away from the heart towards your organs and tissues. And then other blood vessels will pick up waste product like carbon dioxide or metabolic waste from your organs and tissues and carry this blood back to the heart, right? Also, blood vessels will, you would think like, my goodness, if I pick up waste product, metabolic waste, carbon dioxide, right? Why do I need to bring it back to the heart? But you actually will bring it to your excretory organs. You're gonna bring them to your kidneys, to your lungs, right? And you're gonna get rid of all this waste product, right? But for example, this deoxygenated blood coming back to the heart, then heart will pump this blood to your lungs so you can get rid of the carbon dioxide, pick up oxygen, return back to the heart. Right over here, you will bring blood to your kidneys. Not only you're gonna deliver oxygen and nutrients to your kidney, but you're also gonna clean the blood, clean it, remove that waste product, nitrogenous waste, and return this blood back to the heart. Right? Anyway, blood vessels that carry blood away from the heart are called arteries. And blood vessels that return blood back to the heart called veins. Generally, arteries are oxygenated and veins are less oxygenated or deoxygenated. I mean, blood within arteries is oxygenated, blood within veins is deoxygenated. But this is only true for systemic circulation. Now, first of all, we use red color over here for oxygenated blood and blue color for deoxygenated blood. So deoxygenated blood means it has a high amount of carbon dioxide, right? And oxygenated blood has higher amount of oxygen. So in a systemic circulation, you see the blood vessels carry blood away, arteries, and they oxygenated. But look over here in pulmonary circulation. This blood vessel carry blood away from the heart towards your lungs, but blood here is deoxygenated. So for pulmonary circulation, this statement is not true. Right? Okay. Let me see. Okay, good. So on this diagram, we can see that blood vessels close to your heart, they are larger vessels, right? So they are bigger in a diameter, and then further away you are from the heart, blood vessels get smaller until you get to the capillaries, and this is where you have exchange between blood vessels and tissue, right? So you can see arteries carry blood away from the heart, and we're gonna start with the largest arteries. They are called elastic arteries or conducting vessels. Then they branch into smaller blood vessels called muscular arteries or distributing vessels. And then we have smaller arterioles and terminal. So we have arterioles or resistance vessels, terminal arterioles, and then we have capillaries. We will get to this metarteriole in a minute, right? So we start with elastic, then muscular, then we go to arterioles, terminal arterioles, and capillaries. Then the blood picked up by veins, and we're gonna start with the venules first. So those are small vessels, then small veins, and then large veins. Right, and now metarterioles are actually, so if you look here, this is called a capillary bed. And at the point where we have these terminal arterioles, we have sphincters, right? And when the sphincters are closed, then the blood doesn't need to flow through this capillary bed. It can go from arterioles to venules. So this blood vessel is called metarteriole on the arterial end, and thoracic channel on the venule, on venous end, right? Now, this is only present in mesenteric circulation. So only present in the circulation of your GI tract, gastrointestinal tract. So in your muscles, you would not have these metarterioles, right? But you have them in your GI tract. Another thing what we have here, look at this another circulatory part, and those are lymphatic vessels. And lymphatic vessels, what they're gonna do, they're gonna pick up extra fluid. So those capillaries here, these capillaries, they porous because you need exchange, right, between capillaries and cells. You can imagine that we will have some fluid that will leak out of these capillaries, and most of this fluid will move back, but we will have extra fluid accumulating in your tissue, and this extra fluid will be picked up by lymphatic vessels. And plus you're going to pick up maybe like some pathogens that you might have in your tissue, some debris of cells in your tissue, and everything with this tissue fluid, extra tissue fluid, will enter lymphatic vessels, and lymphatic vessels move through your lymph nodes, and this is where you clean the blood, you get rid of those pathogens, right? And you go through a larger lymph nodes back to the venous circulation, back to the venous blood, and then to the heart, right? So that's a lymphatic circulation here. So we mentioned already that we have arteries, we have veins. So how are they similar and how are they different? So arteries have a thicker wall, and they carry blood with a greater pressure. So the blood pressure is high in your arteries. And because the blood pressure is high, you do need a thicker wall within arteries. So if you look at this histology slide, this is artery, right? So you can see all this bulk of smooth muscle within arterial wall. In veins, and this is a vein, they have thinner walls, low blood pressure, and we have valves within veins that prevent a backflow of the blood. Now, both of them has lumen. Yeah, so this area over here or over there, this pretty much where blood is, right? They have 3 layers of wall that we're gonna look on the next slide, what they named. And they have vasa vasorum. Now, actually, all large arteries and large veins have vasa vasorum. Vasa vasorum are capillaries that supply blood to blood vessels. Because look at this artery, look how thick this wall is. Now, this wall is made of cells. Those cells need oxygen and nutrients as well. So you would have the network of capillaries and, that supply oxygen and nutrients to the cell of the arterial walls and walls of veins. That's called vasa vasorum. So now let's look at these 3 layers of arterial wall and a wall of vein. So this is the artery and this is vein. So they both of them have 3 tunics. So tunica externa, shown here in blue color, right? Oops, and over here as well. Then we have tunica media in the middle, and this is smooth muscle mostly, right? And tunica intima, that's the deepest layer, right? So tunica intima is epithelial and connective tissue, and the special type of epithelium that's called endothelium. And it's also have some elastic membrane if we're talking about artery, right? So this is the internal elastic membrane shown in blue. Tunica media is a middle layer and it's made of smooth muscle, and tunica externa is connective tissue and help to hold vessels in position. Right, so you can see that if this is elastic artery, it have also elastic fibers shown here in blue within tunica media as well. And here's our vasa vasorum. So that's a blood vessel, right? And nervi vasorum in the plexus of nerves within tunica externa that bring blood, oxygen, nutrients, and remove waste product to the smooth muscles over there, right? So we already mentioned that elastic arteries close to the heart, and it has elastic fibers. So it's shown right here. So we have tunica intima, right, with endothelium. We have internal elastic layer over here. Then we have tunica media, tunica externa. Muscular arteries, they have a thick tunica media, right? So lots of smooth muscles, and they important in vasoconstriction. So when muscles contract, you constrict the lumen or you dilate the lumen. And arterioles are smaller arteries. Those are small vessels. They lead to capillaries, and important in regulation of blood pressure as well, because they also can constrict or dilate. Now the gas exchange and exchange of nutrients and waste product happens within capillaries, and specifically what we call capillaries bed. Now we have 3 types of capillaries: continuous, fenestrated, and sinusoids, or sinusoid capillaries. Now continuous, the most common capillaries. And here's your continuous capillary shown over here. So we have endothelial cells, right? Tunica intima. You notice in the capillaries, we don't have tunica media or tunica externa. So we have epithelial cells, right? Because we have epithelial cells, they always rest on a basement membrane. And this is our basement membrane. So complete endothelial lining. So you can see we have complete lining. It does have intercellular cleft. This is a connection between cell, and this is where stuff can move in and out through those clefts. It has tight junctions between capillaries, and many of these continuous capillaries you will find in your brain, and they are part of what is called blood-brain barrier. But for blood-brain barrier, we also need some glial cells, or cells of nervous tissue that form this blood-brain barrier. Also, continuous capillaries you will find in your skin and your muscles. So as I said, they are most common capillaries. Fenestrated capillaries, they have pores. They do have still tight junctions. So this spots over here, those pores, they called fenestrations. And they are more permeable than continuous and found in small intestine, for example, where you need nutrients to move in and out, right? And nutrients like amino acid or nucleotides, right? So there's larger molecules, or like sugar. So you have this fenestration. Sinusoid capillaries, if you look here, they're not shown over here, but they would have fenestration as well. Plus, they have these intercellular gaps over here. So like a big openings between endothelial cells, and plus even basement membrane is incomplete. So it's called, they have intercellular gaps, incomplete basement membrane. Now you would find sinusoids in the area where you need a large substances to move in or out of these capillaries, and that will be in liver, spleen, and lymph nodes. Now in the liver, why do you need stuff to move in the liver or spleen? Because in liver and spleen, you have those two organs, they actually get rid of old and non-functioning red blood cells. So when red blood cells after 4 months became old, they don't function properly anymore, they move through these gaps within liver and spleen, and then you have macrophages in liver and spleen, and they're gonna destroy, digest, I would say, those red blood cells, old, worn out red blood cells, and recycle whatever they are made of, right? And we will, will be, I think, yeah, in my other video, I already recorded what happened with those old, worn out red blood cells. In the lymph nodes, you will have macrophages and other, lymphocytes that also need to move in and out of these capillaries. Okay, so capillary beds and metarterioles, we mentioned it a little bit, right? So for example, if you have over here terminal arteriole, right? And then we have precapillary sphincters, right? So those are the sphincters. And when those sphincters are relaxed, muscles are relaxed and sphincters are open, blood from terminal arteriole gonna enter this capillary bed. So you can see lots of blood goes inside these capillaries, and this is called metarterioles, right? I'm sorry, this is metarteriole, and blood goes through metarteriole, and it goes through capillaries, and then it picked up by venules, and then we go to the veins, and the small veins, large veins, right? So, and by the way, over here you will see, you will have cells and tissue, right? So cells and tissue will get nutrients and oxygen delivered from this blood found inside these capillaries. Now, sphincters open, blood flows through true capillaries, right? So those we call true capillaries, I forgot to mention. Now, when sphincters closed, you see this sphincter is closed, this sphincter is closed. So all of these precapillary sphincters are closed, then blood cannot enter those true capillaries. So it's gonna flow through the metarteriole. And this thoracic channel, I just call it metarteriole. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong over here. But anyway, now why do we need it? Oh, let's read this. Sphincters closed, blood flows through metarteriole, thoracic channels, and bypasses through capillaries. Now you would ask, why? Why do we need it? Well, actually you have only in average, 5 liters of blood. And for example, when you exercising, right, you do lifting some weight, or you're running, or even you in a dangerous situation and you really need to run away from, you know, like crazy dog or something, you need blood flow to your skeletal muscles. You want more blood to your skeletal muscles at this moment, and you don't want blood flow to your digestive system, because when you're exercising or you are running for your life, this is what we call fight or flight response. This 5 liters of blood need to be distributed differently in your body. Most of this blood will flow to your skeletal muscles. Then you just shut down those sphincters, and you just go straight from arteries to veins, right? But when you're resting, when you're digesting, you just had a good meal, and you don't need that much blood to your skeletal muscles. You need blood to flow to your digestive system. Then you relax the sphincters, and here we have blood entering through capillaries. That's why I already mentioned this is found in mesenteric circulation that supply blood to your guts, to your stomach, small intestine, large intestine, right? That's why we have it. Okay, now veins and venules. Veins are bigger, venules are smaller. So when we join multiple capillaries, we form venules, and this is primary site of emigration and diapetesis of white blood cells. So you can see we're going to start with venules, and then medium-sized vein and large veins. So veins conduct blood towards heart. They have thin wall, irregular lumen, and they have valves that we already mentioned. And this diagram show you again that larger veins are close to the heart and medium further away, and venules will be when you join capillaries, right, close to your capillaries. But the large veins and medium-sized veins, they have 3 tunics: tunica intima, right, with endothelium, tunica media, tunica externa. Venules, they have endothelium and tunica externa, so they do not have this tunica media that is made of smooth muscles. So here we compare arteries and veins. Direction of blood flow: conduct blood away from the heart, those are arteries; blood towards the heart, veins; general appearance rounded; veins are irregular, often collapsed; pressure high, pressure low, wall thickness thick and thin, relative oxygen concentration higher in systemic arteries, low in pulmonary arteries, and low in systemic arteries, and higher in pulmonary, low in systemic veins, high in pulmonary veins. Valves, you don't have valves in arteries, and present most commonly in limbs and in veins inferior to the heart. We have valves in veins. You don't need valves in your arteries because first of all, usually, first of all, you have blood pressure in your arteries and blood just flow down its pressure gradient. In veins, you're returning back to the heart. And imagine that you're standing up and you need to return blood from your feet back to the heart, right? And it's you don't have blood pressure, high blood pressure to do it, and blood flow against gravity. So you do want valves to prevent backflow. Veins, also your blood reservoir. About 64% of blood is concentrated in your veins. You regulate through your autonomic nervous system your blood distribution, right? As I already mentioned, when you're exercising or you're under stress, then blood will flow to your skeletal muscles. When you relax, the blood will more blood will flow to your digestive system, right? And that's a medulla oblongata that will play important role in this regulation. And your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system will regulate the amount of blood flowing to different organs through venoconstriction and also venous reserve. It's just repeat the same, that you have a lots of blood stored, not stored, but present in your veins at each given moment. Right, so for example, over here, we have systemic circulation and we have pulmonary circulation. Just give me a second. Okay, sorry. So we have 84% in a systemic circulation, about 9% in pulmonary circulation. So you have blood in the systemic veins, and systemic arteries, systemic capillaries, right? So you can see these numbers. You don't need to really memorize, but we just can say that we have more blood within your systemic veins compared to systemic arteries. And you will have in pulmonary circulation the same. You will have more blood in pulmonary veins. So those are, I'm sorry. Pulmonary veins, pulmonary arteries, that's pulmonary arteries away from the heart and pulmonary veins back to the heart. So you have a little bit more in pulmonary veins compared to pulmonary arteries. And about 7% in the heart, right, at each given time, right, for example. Okay, so that's just remind us that veins are your blood reservoirs. So we already mentioned we have pulmonary circulation and we have systemic circulation. You guys need to know blood flow through pulmonary and systemic circulation. So we, if you look at this blood, and we're gonna start with the right ventricle. So we have right ventricle over here. You can start with right atrium as well. Let's start with right atrium. So right atrium, then we have a tricuspid valve over here, then right ventricle, then we have a pulmonary valve and pulmonary artery, then pulmonary arterioles, pulmonary capillaries, and you go to the lungs, to alveoli of the lungs. This is where you get rid of carbon dioxide, you pick up oxygen, and you start your way back to the heart. right? You will start with pulmonary venules, then pulmonary veins, and then left atrium. Oops. Is this? Yeah, right there. Okay, what's going on over here? Left ventricle. This is something really, really wrong with this picture. I need to change this picture because this is left atrium. So the blood needs to flow to left atrium, then to the left ventricle, and then to the aorta. Yeah, this is horrible picture. I'm sorry, I didn't notice it. This, I'm gonna change it because your receiving chambers are atria. So that's a receiving chamber. I need to change it after I finish this recording. So this is wrong because from pulmonary veins, venules, you go to pulmonary veins and then you go to left atrium. So that's your left atrium right there. From left atrium, you go to left ventricle and then you go to aorta. Okay. I cannot even see this. My goodness, what's a horrible stuff. I'm gonna get rid of it right now. Yeah, so I do need a different picture. Yeah, this one, you know, let me just copy. I don't know if I can do it, paste. Yeah, I'm gonna just use the same picture for now. Because I cannot handle seeing these pictures. That is so wrong, right? So let's see what we have here. Let's check this one. Okay, so we go from number 1, right? This is our right ventricle. So we go to pulmonary. So we good over here. We go to pulmonary arteries. Then we go to pulmonary arterioles. Then we go to the lungs. Then we pulmonary venules, pulmonary veins, and here is our left atrium, right? So here we go back to left atrium, from left atrium, left ventricle, from left ventricle to the systemic circulation, right? So we go to the upper part of your body, lower part of the body. Okay, that's way better, right? Okay, then next is our systemic circulation, and you saw that I use the same picture. And your systemic circulation, we're gonna start, we can start with left atrium, from left atrium through the bicuspid valve, left ventricle, aortic valve, we go to aorta. And now aorta, it will have, you know, some branches, you know, some aorta will go down, but branches will bring blood to your arm and to your head. And right, and aorta goes down and you will have lots of blood vessels branching from aorta, bring your blood to the your torso and lower part of your body. Then you pick up the oxygenated blood through inferior vena cava or through superior vena cava and back to the right atrium, tricuspid valve, right ventricle, and then you start all over. Right, so this on a, this one over here where you see lungs, right here and here, this is pulmonary circulation, and here where you see upper and lower part of the body, this is systemic circulation. Okay, so this is where I'm gonna stop this video. And I will record another video to cover major blood vessels, right? So thank you for watching, and I hope it was helpful.